Very good morning, children. In yesterday's lesson, you learned about the mechanism of photosynthesis, huh? Which is happening in two phases. One is said to be light reactions, and other one is said to be dark reactions. Is it clear to you? Then, uh, the plants are preparing food by the process called photosynthesis, which you learned. So they are collecting carbon dioxide and water from the surrounding environment with the help of chlorophyll and sunlight when they prepare food by themselves. That type of nutrition you learned as a autotrophic nutrition. Is it not? Autotrophic nutrition. So some of the organisms like plants, they are preparing their own food by the inorganic materials like carbon dioxide, water with the help of sunlight and chlorophyll. In sunlight they are preparing food. So that nutrition we call it as autotrophic nutrition, and organisms are called as autotrophs or autotrophic organisms. Now you have learnt in detail how the plants are able to prepare food by the process called photosynthesis with all the activities. So whatever the activities you learned, all are related to the process of photosynthesis, whichever is happening in plants under autotrophic nutrition. Okay, so are you going to observe only plants? Means no, other living organisms also we are going to observe in this world, and some are said to be unicellular and some are said to be multicellular again. You are observing microorganisms with the help of a microscope. You are observing different kinds of animals, insects, some other organisms we are going to observe. Whatever it may be, whether it is unicellular or multicellular organisms, each and every organism wants to survive, means they are in need of food. Okay, means food, how the organisms are going to get the food. So food preparation, how it is happening. So in plants you learned autotrophic nutrition is happening. In today's class you are going to learn about the heterotrophic nutrition. What do you understand with that? The organisms which cannot prepare their own food. Okay, so which cannot prepare their own food, and they have to depend on other organisms for the food source, like animals and human beings or other microorganisms. They cannot prepare their own food because they don't have chlorophyll. Is it clear to children? And they have to depend on plants or some other organism for the food. So that type of nutrition is called as a heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition, where the organisms cannot prepare their own food. Okay, so now some organisms they cannot prepare their own food, so that type of nutrition is called heterotrophic nutrition, and organisms are called as heterotrophs. Okay, so now heterotrophs examples microorganisms, then animals, all kinds of animals, even some plants also, Is it clear to you? So they come under heterotrophs. You will be wondering, no, that we will learn later. But whatever it may be, so different organisms which we are observing, which come under heterotrophs, they are following different strategies for collecting the food. Okay, availability of food, then the body parts, especially mouth parts you can take, or type of food what they are going to consume. Some organisms they consume liquid content, some organisms they consume very much simple form of nutrients. Some organisms are going to consume complex form of food. Is it not, children? So whatever it may be, different kinds of food items they are going to take or consume. According to that, the body systems, especially the system which helps in breaking down the food, to simple form. That one is called digestive system. So the body parts are designed in that way. Is it clear to children? So now here under heterotrophic nutrition, different organisms are there, I said. Okay, which are depending on other organisms for the food. So let us learn the different types of organisms, how they are observing the food. So if you observe some kind of animals which are said to be microscopic, you can take fungi. Okay, fungi. So molds you can take, molds, molds. Okay, so what do? You will be observing these molds which are going to be present on the food material. Is it not, children? Or on the dead bodies, outside the body. Outside the body only the process is going to happen. Means here collecting of nutrients is going to happen. So what do? These molds are fungi. I will write here, fungi. Okay, any fungi which you are observing on the food materials, and the food materials are getting spoiled because of fungi. Is it clear to you? Chapati, if we sprinkle water and if we keep it in dark, after few days chapati we are not going to see. Is it not, children? So how? What is that? What is happening to that? Means chapati is the food material, nutrient, and that nutrient is going to be used up by the fungi. So how the fungi is able to take food? Like the dead bodies of any plant or animal, if we observe, fungi will act on that, or bacteria will act on that, and after few days we will not see the fleshy content of the material, only the bony part we can observe, skeleton we see. So what is happening to that? Means the fungi will act on the dead organisms. Is it clear to children? So now the fungi like yeast or mushroom or molds, what do? Means they are going to, examples for this fungi, yeast, then molds. So molds means bread molds. So if we keep bread as it is outside, children, you can observe dark patches, no, children. That is an example of a bread mold, which is also called as mucor. So yeast, molds, what do? Means whenever the food material is there, the spores of this or the fungi will just act on it, and the content whichever is present in that will be taken up by the organism, that fungi to survive. Is it clear to you? So they are going to release, the fungi is going to release some kind of enzymes. So this fungi is releasing enzymes. So enzymes are released on bread or any other fruit or any other vegetable, and it is getting damaged, getting spoiled. Then what is happening to that? The molds or yeast are going to get nourishment from that. So chemicals, when they are released on that food material, the food material is changed to simple form, and from that the fungi is going to get the nourishment. So that type of organisms where they are going to release some chemicals on the food material or on the dead organisms and collect the nutrients for the survival of those species are called as saprophytes. Saprophytes. What do you mean by saprophytes, children? Saprophytes are the organisms, that too simple only, simple organisms. They are going to release some chemicals on the food material outside the body of this. Their parts are not present inside. Okay. So they are releasing chemicals outside, means on the food material, and that food will be converted to simple form, and that is going to become nourishment for the saprophytes. Is it clear to you? Examples is molds, etc. Is it clear to children? Mushrooms, etc. So such type of nutrition is called as saprophytic nutrition, which comes under heterotrophic nutrition. I hope you understood. Is it clear to you? So all these except mushroom, only that mushroom can be seen to the naked eye, whereas other fungi, they have to be seen with microscope only. So how they are going to collect food means by releasing chemicals from their body, the enzymes are released on the food and the food will be converted to simple form, and from that they are going to get nourishment. So such type of nutrition is called as a saprophytic nutrition, and organisms are called as saprophytes, which come under heterotrophic nutrition. Is it clear to children? Then coming to the next type, you learned about saprophytic nutrition. Now we learn about other type of nutrition. Like for example, amoeba if you take. Okay, so amoeba, what it is going to do? So it finds the organic material, and that organic material it has to reach its body. Okay, so with the help of pseudopodia, pseudopodia, what is going to happen? You know that what are pseudopodia means? Pseudopodia are said to be finger-like projections. So this is the nucleus, and here it contains the cytoplasm, and so now the it lives in water. It founds that organic molecule here. The pseudopodia will extend there like this, and finally the food material or the organic material is entering into the body, and it reaches the food vacuole. The food material will reach the food vacuole, and the digestion process is going to happen. Here what you are understanding? Inside the body it is happening. Okay children? Then that is also heterotrophic nutrition. Even this amoeba or paramecium are also depending on other organisms for the survival. Then some other organisms are there children. Okay, like you can take mosquitoes are there, or any other insects are there. What do they do? Or some other organisms are there. They live in the body of other organism. Okay, they live in the body of other organism, and they are going to get the nourishment. Okay, like leeches you can take, or next one is said to be lice you can take. Lice, leeches you can take, and tapeworms or roundworms, which are living inside the body of human beings. So tapeworms or leeches, roundworms, pinworms. So they are living inside the body of other organisms, and they are also simple in structure, and they are going to collect the food material. Here what is happening to the organism in which they are living? So they are not going to kill, okay, without killing the animal or plant. These organisms are living in them, and they are going to get the nourishment. Okay, so that type of nutrition we call as parasitic nutrition. Is it clear to you? In parasitic nutrition, what is happening? The organism is living inside the body of other organism or on the body of other organism, and it is going to get the nourishment. That type of nutrition we call it as a parasitic nutrition. Again, some of the parasites you learnt in the previous classes, like roundworms, tapeworms. They live in the inside the body of human beings. So it is responsible for that roundworms are responsible for elephantiasis. You learn. Do you remember, children? Then different diseases we are going to get. So that type of nutrition where the organism is living inside the body of other organism and getting nourishment, that one we call it as parasitic nutrition of heterotrophic nutrition. Is it clear to you? Then here the parasites are not having well defined structure. Okay, so ready-made food is available for them. The nourishment whichever is prepared by the organism in which it is living. So what do we call that organism in which the parasite is living? That one we call it as a host organism. So inside the host the parasite is living. The organism which is living in the body of host is called a parasite. I hope you understood. So parasite is living in the host and the host is preparing the food, or the food whichever is prepared by the host, which is readily available, it is going to become nourishment for the parasite. So that's why here parasite is not killing the host organism, but sometimes it is causing severe harm to the host organism. Is it clear to children? So that type of nutrition is called as a parasitic nutrition. I hope you understood. Is it clear to children? Parasitic nutrition. Examples for parasites are here leeches, then roundworms, or tapeworms. So many are there. Liver flukes. Okay, and one plant is also there. It is wandering. One plant is there. Okay, which come under parasitic nutrition. That is a cuscuta. Cuscuta is a plant. So how the process is happening, that I will explain you later. So leeches, roundworms, tapeworms are the parasites which live in the human body. Sorry, not leech. Leech is a living in water. Jalaga antam chudandi, that one. Okay, so it lives in water and it feeds on the blood of vertebrates. Is it clear to you? So whenever any organism comes in contact with that leech, so it with the help of suckers, it fixes the organism and it is going to suck the blood. Okay, so in the blood nutrients are present, that is the food for leeches. Whereas roundworms and tapeworms, if we take, they live in the intestines of human beings and other animal, and they are going to get the nourishment, causing harm to the host organism. Whereas cuscuta is a plant. Okay, so it is also going to depend on other plants for its survival. So cuscuta is the plant species which is coming under parasitic nutrition. How it, that we will discuss later. Then, so here what is happening? The parasites are said to be of two types again: internal parasites and external parasites. So for example, pet animals, if you see, some of the arthropods will be present on the skin. Is it not, children? On the skin of pet animals, you are observing some insects. So which are going to collect the blood from the host organism. Okay, so that they are examples of parasites which are present outside the body. So they are called as external parasites. So even on our body also, in our body, in the hair, the lice will be present or not, children? So they are going to suck the blood. Is it clear to you? So painlu we call in Telugu. Is it not, children? So they are living on the body outside. Is it clear to you? Even sometimes on the skin also we can observe. Okay, so they are called external parasites. If they are present inside like a roundworm or a tapeworm or a malarial parasite or HIV, human immunovirus. So what do? They are living inside the body and they are causing harm. Here about harm we are not talking. How these organisms are going to survive. Okay, so they are going to collect the nourishment or the nutrients which are prepared by the host organisms, and the host is sometimes not killed, or it may be getting harm from the parasites. Is it clear to children? So that will come under parasitic nutrition. Is it clear to children? Then coming to the other type of nutrition, if we see, just now I said amoeba, how it is going to get food. So you know that amoeba is a unicellular organism. It lives in water. And the whatever it may be, whether it is amoeba or human body, children, what is the energy source means, that is glucose only. So still smaller organism is going to become food for amoeba. Okay, so whenever it finds the food material, organic material in water, so amoeba is said to be a shapeless animal. It does not have any shape, children. So next what is happening? So suppose food is found here. So the amoeba is going to extend its structure. The cell membrane is extending there like this. Okay, what do we call this? Finger-like projections. which are present, they are called as pseudopodia. Pseudopodia. Pseudopodia means what? False foot. Okay. So that pseudopodia will extend and finally the organic material it gets inside the cell membrane of amoeba. So now next structure if we see, so amoeba is collecting its food material inside. So that food material which entered, it reaches the food vacuole, and the food is getting digested and the nutrient is going to be supplied to other parts which are present in this organism inside the body. So the food is entering inside the body. I hope you understood. Is it clear to children? Like Paramecia, if we take Paramecia is also said to be unicellular organism. It also lives in water. Is it clear to you? So here if we observe the structure, so contractile vacuole and feed vacuole is present. Oral groove is there. So through that with the help of ciliary movement, near this oral groove the food material will come. So food when it finds in this direction, cilia move in this direction. So the food will enter like this. Suppose if the food is found in this direction somewhere else, the cilia move and the food material whichever is found by this Paramecia will be entering inside that and it is going to survive and it is ingested into the cytostome. Cytostome is going to help in collecting the food inside the body of Paramecia. Whereas here in amoeba, pseudopodia are going to help in collecting the food material and cytostome in Paramecia in cytostome in Paramecia is going to help in collecting the food material. Is it clear to children? In that way, the organic material is going to enter inside the body of these unicellular organisms. Amoeba and Paramecia are said to be unicellular organisms. So the food material is going to enter into the body and the food is getting simplified still and it is going to be supplied to each and every part of the cell. Is it clear to you? Now, Cuscuta I said. Is it not children? Cuscuta is a plant. So, parasitic nutrition in a Cuscuta. Parasitic nutrition in Cuscuta. That we are going to discuss now. Children, here the food material, what the organisms are going to consume, and the body structure. According to the body structure are the mouth parts. The food material is taken up by the organisms. Is it clear to children? So that point you have to remember very well. So here Dodder is a common name. Dodder. So Dodder is a common name and which belongs to the genus Cuscuta. It is said to be a leafless, twining, parasitic plant, children. Suppose if you go to any park, if you go or any temple if you go, you will be observing very much fine, what is that, golden color, thread-like structures whichever are just entangled, means present on the plant. So, a mokkal main trees paina, entangled structures we can observe which are said to be brown in color. Okay. So, they are nothing but Cuscuta plants. Is it clear to children? So, now the Cuscuta plants belong to the family, or the Dodder plant belong to the family Convolvulaceae. Convolvulaceae, very important children. The Dodder is a parasitic plant which belongs to the genus Cuscuta and it belongs to the Convolvulaceae family or common name we can call it this family as morning glory, and they are leafless. Those plants, this cuscuta, dodder plants, they do not have leaves, children. So you can understand now what is happening. Okay, so dodder plants, they do not have leaves and they are entwining. Entwining అంటే ఒక చెట్టుకి చుట్టూరుగా చుట్టుకొని ఉంటాయి, లేకపోతే బ్రాంచెస్ పైన అంతా కూడా చుట్టుకొని ఉంటాయి. Okay, so they are going to be entwined like that, and they which do not have leaves, and they are going and very less chlorophyll. Sometimes chlorophyll is also not seen. Chlorophyll is also absent. Have you followed? Even if the dodder plant is a plant, it is not having leaves. So leaves are not there means obviously we can tell that it will not have chloroplast. We know that major part of the plant which contains chloroplast is said to be leaves. So dodder plants are leafless. They do not have leaves. So they are going to be entwining on the host plant. Is it clear to children? And very little chlorophyll is present in them, or sometimes some of the species they do not have chlorophyll also. They do not have a chlorophyll also. Then what do they do? So here the dodder plant contains no chlorophyll, and cuscuta reflexa. So here this dodder plant they do not have chlorophyll, no chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is absent in them. Whereas one species here, that is cuscuta reflexa. Cuscuta reflexa species is having very little amount of chlorophyll. So cuscuta reflexa is having very little chlorophyll. That chlorophyll is not sufficient for that plant to survive. Then how do they survive? How they are getting food? Because they are living organisms. The process of respiration is happening, even reproduction also. New plants are going to be produced. How is it happening? Means that is because of nutrition. They are getting energy through nutrition. What kind of nutrition? Parasitic nutrition. In cuscuta we learnt here. So what it is going to do means, so as you know that just now I explained, the cuscuta plants or the dodder plants, they are going to be entwining on the host plants. Okay, so directly through the phloem tissues of host plants, for example stem is there here, so branches, different branches are there. So cuscuta plant, it is entwining all around it. We can see even on the branches also. So now what they will do? So that entangling structures, thread-like structures, directly they are going to collect the food from the phloem tissue of host plant with the help of special structures called hostoria. So hostoria are said to be the special structures which are present in dodder plants. Okay, and they are going to help in collecting nourishment, that is food and water from the host plant, and they are going to survive. Is it clear to children? So like that here the dodder plant is going to survive. So as it does not have chlorophyll, and it has to survive because it is living organism. So it is living on some other plants. Okay, it germinates on other plants, and it starts sprouting. Sprouting means growing, and it spreads all around the host plant, and the plant, from that main plant only, it is going to get nourishment with the help of special structures called hostoria. Hostoria are, so for example thread-like structures, if you observe children, so on finger like small structures you can observe. What are they? Means they are hostoria. So when plant is there like this, they can hold or they can reach the phloem tissue of the main plant and they are going to get the nourishment. So in that way, this daughter plant, even if it is coming under plant group, and what is the major difference of plants and animals means, plants are autotrophs, animals are heterotrophs. Is it not, children? Even if it is a plant, it cannot prepare its own food. Okay, why? Because the particular species in that are of Convolvulaceae family, they do not have chlorophyll. Even if chlorophyll is present, that is not sufficient for that plants to get food or prepare food, so they are depending on other plants. So that type of nutrition where we are observing is said to be parasitic nutrition in a Cuscuta plant. Don't think otherwise, children. So this species of plants are going to be just what is that, getting food from the host plants. So coming to the next point here, some plants are there here, some. So till now you learned how the Cuscuta plants are going to get food through parasitic nutrition. So some other plants, how they collect food, even if they are autotrophs. Okay, some for additional support they are depending on other organisms. So that we will discuss in tomorrow's class.